Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to stick to Sweden, and we're also going to stick to my home county of Skåne here in the very south of the country. We'll return to a brewery that has featured on the channel a good number of times before. I've had some great beers from these guys over the years. Mainly they're known for their big kind of fruity IPAs, hazy IPAs and stuff like this, but more recently they've started doing quite a few Berliner Weisses and pastry stouts and stuff like this, which are also very good. But I've been really impressed with their lower ABV IPAs quite recently, and it's another one of those that we're going to have a look at today. So for this review then we will head to Helsingborg in the northwest corner of Skåne, and we're having a look at another beer from Brewski Mikrobryggeri. So this particular beer is called A Little Bird Told Me. It comes in at 4.7% ABV, and this one is a New England hazy, whatever you want to call it, session IPA. Apparently it has a little bit of pineapple added into the brew as well. So yeah, very curious to see how this one turns out. This beer, from what I understand, was released as part of the Lokal Småskaligt assortment for January of 2021 through Systembolaget here in Sweden, and it's supposed to be quite a nice beer. And as I say, I've enjoyed the lower ABV beers from these guys over the last little while. So curious to see how it turns out. Hopefully it's an interesting beer, and I hope that you guys enjoy my take on this one as well. So let's see how we get on then. Always good to return to Brewski. So as always with my reviews, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the video description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Brewski Mikrobryggeri before, and you will obviously see more added to that list in the fairly near future. There's all the usual social media down there. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, province, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's being added to very regularly, of course, because I am living in Sweden. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Brewski Mikrobryggeri then, on to my brewery notes. So Brewski Mikrobryggeri, as I've told you already, and in previous videos, were founded back in 2014, and they're based in Helsingborg, a very nice city in the northwest corner of Skåne here in the south of Sweden. So the founders of this company are Marcus Hjalmarsson, Johan Bridson, Alfred Olsson and Robin Skoglund, all of whom were largely inspired to start their own craft beer venture on the back of the West Coast American craft beers. But Marcus was originally associated with the High Nose brand of beer, which is brewed at the Höganäs Brewery out on the Kullaberg Peninsula. I still need to get up there and take a look around actually. Very pretty part of Sweden from what I gather, but those high nose beers are still brewed up there, and the original Brewski beers were brewed up there for a period of time, although they're all now brewed in their own brewery in Helsingborg in the old train yard to the south of the central station. But this brewery has a capacity of around 100,000 litres per month from what I understand, and they've kind of been gradually working to scale that up over the years. But in 2016 they started their own beer festival, which is called Brewskival. You might have seen my kind of festival videos that I've done there. In the first year they had over 40 different breweries, and it expanded year on year. Unfortunately it didn't run in 2020 because of the whole COVID-19 pandemic, but fingers crossed it does make a return in 2021. But they also used to open up the brewery as a bar once a month and called it Barski, but they've now got a bar of the same name in Helsingborg, which is on the street just behind the main shopping street actually. They've got some really nice ramen in there. It's not authentic ramen, it's an American chef, but the stuff that they're doing is pretty tasty actually. But they also now brew some of their beers in the US at Tampa Bay Brewing Company in Florida. Mainly it's their IPAs that they're doing there, but they're looking to open up a bar in Oslo at the moment as well actually. And Marcus also has a distribution company called Beerskate in Norway as well, which imports lots of different Swedish beers into Norway for the different pubs, and I think they're going to go into Vinmonopolet at some point as well, which is basically the Norwegian Systembolaget, the state-owned alcohol shops. But over the course of 2019 these guys produced around 500,000 litres of beer for the whole year. I couldn't find a figure for 2020 actually, but as of January 2021, when I'm filming this review for you, these guys have produced around 325 different kinds of beer according to Untappd. So quite a prolific brewery, and I've had some great beers from them over the years, as I've said. They're probably best known for their Fever series, the Mango Fever, Passion Fever, all of these kind of things. Those are great beers, and I do need to try and review a few more of them. But in recent times, of course, I have been focusing on their kind of new releases and stuff. But yeah, I do need to have a go at a few more of the Brewski Fever beers actually. My favourite beer I think that I ever had from these guys, there was two. There was Little Big Hoppy, which if I remember rightly was a collaboration with Evil Twin, Danish, now over in the States, but also Conan, the Conan Double IPA. That was, you know, top class beer for me. That's one that's always just stuck in my mind, and they've never done it again, which is unfortunate. But Brewski, when it comes to the hazy IPAs in Sweden, Brewski are one of the best producers in my mind. You know, if they had a regular beer that was produced on the same kind of with the same frequency as the likes of Amazing Haze, Narangi, Opigård's New Sweden, then it would be one of the kind of classic the cult classic Swedish hazy IPAs as well. But you know, they're very prolific, they like to put different things out there, that's just how Brewski do it. But yeah, these guys are definitely worth checking out if you like your fruity IPAs for sure. But yeah, more recently they've been doing the Berliner Weisses and also the pastry stouts, and you're going to see a few more of those reviewed over the next little while, so keep your eyes peeled for them. But yeah, that's all I can really tell you about Brewski Mikrobryggeri for the moment. If you want to learn more about these guys, you can check out the brewery website, you can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and you can of course check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages to learn more about all of those different beers that they've done. So yeah, let's get on and actually have a taste of this beer then. I have to say I'm very, very curious. I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork on this one before we open it up. And there you can see it's, I don't know what this one's meant to be. Is it meant to be like a Native American, like an American Indian? I'm not sure about that. I think it's meant to just be an American Indian, this one. But yeah, it looks pretty cool. I don't know why the kind of face is sort of coloured out or whatever. Really not sure. But yeah, there you can see the little Brewski man on the back of the can there. And you can see on the side as well, a little bird told me 4.7% IPA. So yeah, like I said, this one was released as part of the Lokalt Småskaligt Assortiment through Systembolaget for January of 2021. Let's get this guy out and we'll get on with the tasting. Very curious to see what this beer has in store for us. Yeah, as I say, I'm kind of rattling these January 2021 beers out at the moment because, you know, because I got back to Sweden about 2 and a bit weeks after was planned. Nearly 3 weeks actually, come to think of it, 2.5 weeks. But yeah, I'm just rattling these beers out before they kind of go off, to be honest, just getting through the IPAs. The darker beers of course will last a little bit longer, but yeah, some of the IPAs, they're still in pretty good condition I have to say, so it's not overly bad. But like we say, this one 4.7% Session Hazy New England IPA. This one apparently has a little bit of pineapple in it, and you can smell that straight away when you open it up. So if we shine the light through this beer, it's a lovely, very kind of pale hazy yellow colour. It does look just like a pineapple juice, to be honest with you. I like comparing these New England IPAs to different fruit juices because that, to me, that is just what they look like actually. But yeah, you can see that when we poured this beer it had about a half finger of a frothy, I would say perfect white head. That's faded away to be a very thin foamy layer, 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, a few little ones going up towards the bottom of the head, which incidentally has just faded away to be a very kind of thin foamy layer now. But I mean, overall it looks pretty good. If I stick my fingers behind the glass, you can see it's got a nice level of haze to it, quite an impressive level of haze for a 4.7%er, to be honest with you. Remember, the level of haze in these beers is dependent on, well, one, what the yeasts and things do with all the different components, the wheat and the oats, so it can vary from beer to beer actually, so that is pretty cool. But yeah, the colour of the beer is also dependent on, one, you know, the types of malts that you use, 2, the length of the wort boil. The longer you boil the wort in the beer, the more the sugars caramelise, thus you get a darker colour, but that's dependent in the first instance on what malts you're actually using. But yeah, that is that. But yeah, really nicely, really nice looking beer, this one I have to say, 4.7%er, it looks great. So yeah, let's have a little look at the aroma of this one then and see how we get on. Nothing particularly surprising about this beer when you consider what style it is in terms of its appearance. So yeah, let's go for the aroma then. Ooh, that smells actually quite sharp and really quite inviting, to be honest with you. We have to remember as well with this that I'm drinking this beer normally a little bit later than I would normally drink it. So it's maybe not going to smell quite at its prime freshness, but it will still be in pretty good condition, I would say. So straight away with this beer, you can smell a nice kind of soft, white bready backbone to it. There's 1 or 2 little bits of graininess in there. You can smell a little bit of the kind of wheat. If you take the aroma in a little bit more deeply, you get a little bit more of the kind of bitey, wheaty qualities out of it. Yeah, so you do, yeah, there is a little bit more of a kind of bitey, wheaty sort of thing going on with this one, absolutely. So yeah, soft kind of white bready notes, as I say, good little bit of a kind of oaty smoothness as well, but I don't think the oats are too prominent in this one. But yeah, the malt base is kind of what you'd expect, to be honest. It's a pretty straight shooting malt base. Soft white bread, bit of oaty smoothiness, and a little bit of a kind of wheaty bitiness as well. But you can smell the pineapple addition in there. I'm curious to see how that comes out in the flavour and the mouthfeel, of course. But on the green component, of the hops, there's a little touch of earthiness to this one, which you're always going to get with these beers. Good, bright floral aromaticity, I have to say, and then you've also got some really nice kind of green grassy components to the beer as well, actually, which I really, really like. So, yeah, the aroma coming out of this one, I think, is very, very nice, I have to say. Very inviting, and smells like just a really nice kind of straightforward session IPA. Yeah, the aroma out of this is very, very nice. Yeah, so in terms of the fruity side of the beer then, it is all about the pineapple. The pineapple has a good little bit of pungency to it, to be honest with you, which is interesting, because pineapple I always associate it with being a very kind of soft, juicy fruit in a lot of ways, but to me it has a little bit of pungency in this beer, which is quite interesting. So yeah, good little bit of passion fruit underneath, a bit of that pungent passion fruit, a little bit of mango in there as well. Could it be a bit of Citra that's underneath here, or a bit of Simcoe? I'm not sure. There's something familiar about the hops in this one. Victoria's Secret might be another option. But yeah, it's got a nice soft tropical note underneath, but just with a wee bit of that pungent passion fruit, which I like. But yeah, the aroma of this beer, I think, is very, very nice, I have to say. So big thumbs up to Brewski Mikrobryggeri for the aroma of this beer. This one does have a wee bit of a kick to it, actually, which comes across quite interestingly. So yeah, it's got everything you would kind of want from a session IPA, this, and I have to just say I'm very, very curious to see how this one turns out. So let's go for it and just see how we get on then. So this one is called A Little Bird Told Me, 4.7% session New England IPA, a little bit of pineapple in it apparently, from Brewski Mikrobryggeri in Helsingborg, in the northwest corner of Skåne here in the south of Sweden. Let's get stuck in. Slange, skål, cheers. Oh yeah, that's really easy to drink. Straight away, just very, very easy to drink. Yeah, that's one of the easiest drinking beers. One of the most easygoing beers that I've had from Brewski, actually. Yeah, and this is one of the interesting things. They're calling this one like a session IPA. Some people call them like paleos and stuff. So I think from the, I've spoken about this in videos before. Technically speaking, the IPA, the paleo, the IPA, the double IPA, the barley wine, these beers are all related to each other through their hop to malt ratio, and it changes slightly as you go up the scale. But when it comes to a session IPA, I've never really had a clear answer on this. I think what they do with session IPAs is that they keep the IPA malt to hop ratio, but take the malt content down so that they're not as strong in alcohol. I think that's what they do. And probably Harry at Blue Nose Beer Reviews is the one that I should ask for clarity on that, actually. But yeah, this one, these session IPAs, they're very much just akin to paleos, to be honest with you. They're meant to be nice, easy kind of drinking beers, and I think this one is nicely executed. It's very, very smooth and very wet in its mouthfeel. It doesn't have like that so much of a bite in things. Normally I would always think that the Brewski beers are going to have some kind of a little bit of bite to them, to be quite honest with you, and this one doesn't have that, which is interesting. Yeah, even if you take a big gulp of the thing, it doesn't have so much of that bite to it. So this is an interesting one. This is quite different to what I've had from Brewski in the past, but I like it. You know, if I very rarely drink outside of my beer videos that I do, to be honest with you. You know, a whiskey now and then, a bit of sake, or if I'm at a brewery, you know, I'll try some of the beers. But yeah, outside of the channel I very rarely drink these days because I keep getting so much beer given to me to review, so yeah. But you know, this is the sort of beer that I could session. This is the sort of beer that I could, you know, have a few of and just enjoy in an evening. So yeah, different approach from Brewski, I have to say. I'd love to try a lager from these guys. I don't think I've had like a Pilsner or something from them yet. I'd be really curious to see how these guys would do that. But Yeah, I've not had. I've had some. I've had barley wines from them. I've had stouts. I've had different IPAs. But yeah, they don't do too many different styles. That's probably one of the only complaints I've got about Brewski. I would love to see them do a few more different styles. But they have started to kind of diversify, so we'll not jump on them yet. But yeah, on the hoppy, on the malty side of things then, let's try and break down the flavour of this beer. Straight away in the middle of your palate you feel a nice kind of soft white bready quality there, just blanket in the middle of your palate. On top of that you can feel the oats just smoothing the whole thing out, and then as you move towards the back of the palate there, you can feel a little bit of a bread crusty quality in the border region between middle third and back third of your palate. Then as you reach the back third of your palate, the bread feels a little bit more kind of soft and almost grainy in a way, and there is a tiny little bit of a sort of wheaty bitiness in the back of the palate. I almost want to say there's a little touch of a slightly peppery kind of thing going on in there as well, which is interesting. But yeah, this beer overall, the malty character in this one is very, very, very smooth actually, and very kind of almost slick in a way, which is really interesting. And that's one of the things that makes this beer feel really sessionable actually. So definitely an interesting point about this one for sure. So yeah, the flavour of this beer I think is just really nice, and the malt base really suits it. It's just a very smooth, very slick and very, very drinkable beer. In the back corners of the palate there's a little bit of earthiness there. As you move further forward from that you've got a nice little bit of floral aromaticity, and that kind of builds as you move further forward along the front sides of your palate there. This beer is not madly hoppy. It's about 30. It's about 30 or so IBUs, I think. It's about 25 or 30 IBUs. So quite a soft sort of straight up one actually. I do like how that goes together in a lot of ways. But then yeah, as you go round the front curve of the palate, it's got a nice little bit of lighter grassiness in there. I think it is quite, it is pretty straight shooting. Yeah, I like how that the greens component of the beer goes together as well. I mean, it's quite smooth, but it still has just a little tiny touch of bitterness to it, to be honest with you. And again, the whole vibe of this beer is just very slick and very easy to drink. So yeah, interesting point about this for sure. But yeah, let's focus on the fruity side of the beer then. So as I always say, on that front third of your palate, that's where you get that nice oily bubble where those juicy fruity esters just kind of roll their way out of the beer. For me, it's a kind of soft mango-y note that you get out of this one. It's got a little bit of a it's got a little bit of a kind of it's got a little bit of a salt, a bit of a mango note, a little bit of a kind of apricot-y kind of thing. And I think that is quite interesting. But yeah, the thing is, when you add fruit into a beer, it's always going to kind of suppress the green component of the beer a little bit, and that's exactly what you're getting in this one. You definitely get a little bit of that kind of how would you say, you definitely get a little bit of the kind of just juicy pineapple notes. The pineapple's just kind of saturating the very edge of your palate and just sitting there and giving you a very kind of soft fruity character. So I really like how that goes together in this beer as well. It gets a big thumbs up from me in that regard actually. I really appreciate how that side of the beer comes together, to be honest. So yeah, big thumbs up from me for this one. I really like this. As I say, it's not the bitiest and most kind of punchy beer that you're going to have from Brewski, but I think it's just a really nice kind of sessioner, and I think that's what they've intended it to be. So yeah, kudos to them for doing something a little bit different actually, and I would love to see more of these actually, these kind of session IPAs, but it has been the lower alcohol IPAs that have impressed me more from Brewski in recent times, I have to say, than the big doubles and triples and stuff like that. I think they've been doing some really nice, more sessionable beers in recent times. But yeah, let's leave it at that. Let's leave it at that for the tasting. Pardon me, leave it at that for the tasting side of the thing. Then let's kind of just round off with the mouthfeel. So yeah, on the mouthfeel side of things, then I would say that this beer is I'd say it's kind of mid-bodied. The carbonation is very smooth. Overall, it's a little bit wet. It's a little bit slick, and Yeah, it's a little bit wet and a little bit slick. In terms of hoppy bitterness, as I said earlier, I think this one's about a 25-30 IBU beer, pretty standard for the style, to be honest with you. Malt base, as I say, very, very smooth, and it doesn't really develop a sweetness or anything like that in the during the flavour. It's just very, very smooth. I think it's fair to describe it as that, to be honest with you. But yeah, the fruity side of things is really nice and juicy. It's got a wee touch of bite to the fruit. But overall, this is just a really nice, very easy going, drinkable beer in my mind. So yeah, thumbs up to Brewski for this. I think it's a solid beer. So let's leave it there then. This one is called A Little Bird Told Me, a session IPA coming in at 4.7% ABV from Brewski Mikrobryggeri in Helsingborg, in the northwest corner of Skåne here in the south of Sweden. Awesome stuff from these guys as usual. So yeah, let's leave it there. Definitely not, I should say, definitely not the kind of craziest and punchiest beer you're going to have from them, but I think just a really nice drinkable one, we should say that. But yeah, once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Brewski as well. We will no doubt return to these guys at some point in the very near future, but thank you again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon. Until the next time, Slanja at school, cheers, check out my social media, check out Brewski Mikrobryggeri, and I'll see you guys with another Brewski review very, very soon. Cheers.